Hello everyone and welcome back. Dace here, and today we're going to be doing something a little different. This is kind of an idea that I had and other people sort of added onto the idea. We're kind of thinking along the same lines. So anyway, I've been meaning to do this for months, and anyway, last night or yesterday I just was like, yeah, I think either today or tomorrow is going to be the day. So anyway, it's tomorrow, so we are going to get into this. Anyway, the idea is I go over all my games and more or less, yeah, the entire collection, and just share why I have what it is I have. Because my collection, like obviously everyone's collection is going to be very different, but because I'm so not interested in AAA titles, like it's rare for me to play AAA titles, my collection is just very different from a lot of people's. So anyway, like that's kind of like part of why I'm getting into this, like just to share a different angle and yeah, get into some of that. So anyway, these are not going to be in order of when I got them. We're just going to kind of maybe even start at the bottom. Yeah, who knows? Yeah, let's just start at the bottom. So for Old Man's Journey, and by the way, I have no idea how long this is going to take, but it's a sit down and chat kind of situation. So, man, I'm totally into that. And if you are, then bingo bongo. Okay, so yeah, Old Man's Journey. This I fell in love with the moment I saw the art style. It just looked like storybook, kind of like, I'm not sure even how to explain it. Not necessarily like kids' storybook, but there was just something about the art style that reminded me of different types of artwork that I would see in storybooks, like picture books way back. And just the fact that it was a really easygoing, like just wander around and solve these little puzzle sort of things as you progressed and made your way along this old man's journey, which was just so appealing to me. So I snatched that up the morning it came out, and I did the whole game in like a single sitting. I don't recall how long it took, but I had such a blast with this game, and I know it's one that I will return to at some point for sure. It doesn't take too long, to be honest, but it was just really awesome. And so I have a major appreciation for Old Man's Journey. For Shovel Knight, this is one that I got earlier on in my Switch career, I will say. I had never played a Shovel Knight game before, but when I saw this available, like all three of the original games in like a bundle, I was like, man, why not get this? It just looked amazing. I thought it was such a cool idea, just having this Shovel Knight. Like that was just the coolest thing. And so anyway, yeah, I got the game or the games, and I just had a blast crushing my way through each and every campaign that came with it. And yeah, it was just so great, like, because at this point I don't think I had too much in the way. Like at this point, because it was so early, my collection was fairly minimal, and it was just awesome having something on the Switch that was retro style, and it just, yeah, it touched certain nostalgic areas within me, and just like, oh yeah, awesome levels, and collecting treasure and doing challenges and just overcoming all these like really cool things. It was just a blast getting into that. For Sonic Mania, this is a game I've only played through it once. Now, my brother had Sega Genesis. My older brother, like years ago, had Sega Genesis, and we played the original Sonic 1, 2, and 3. And I remember like all of my siblings, including myself, like we loved the Sonic games. They were just so colorful, so vibrant, such a blast, and like just collecting rings and just being in the jungle and whatever the case was. So when I saw this was available, I was like totally on board, because I was like, wow, like a Sonic game for the Nintendo Switch. Like, how cool would it be to be reliving those kind of like Sonic-esque experiences? Like, obviously, it wasn't the original games, but it was a new one, obviously. And so anyway, I got it. I breezed through the game, and it was extraordinarily underwhelming, to be honest. Like, I was not impressed in the slightest. Like in terms of controls and whatever, like that was all fine and stuff, but it just didn't. I think part of it was the fact that I was anticipating this really awesome experience that would match my past experiences, and that was certainly not the case with this. So it was like, yeah, I was seeing people like, oh yeah, the best Sonic game ever, like blah blah blah, and for me it was like, no, this is nothing. But anyway, I might play it again someday and just give it another go, because there could be a lot of factors involved as to why I wasn't super crazy about it. Anyway, that's Sonic Mania. The bridge, oh my god, you guys, this is probably one of my favorite games that I have on the Switch. I like it's you can get it elsewhere, of course, but I had never played it until the Switch, and it was just amazing. So for those of you who don't know, it is a pretty mind-bending puzzle game where you control this little man. He walks around. That's all you can do. There's no running, there's no jumping. You literally just walk left or right, and you can also manipulate the screen by like turning it upside down or pretty much whatever angle. Like, you have a complete 360 range in terms of like vertical, horizontal, like just all that. So there are just a ton of puzzles in this game, and just an insane amount of awesome challenge. Like, I was so into this game. Like 3 solid days and nights of just immersing myself in this game. And by solid, I don't mean like that exact amount of time. Like, I would obviously have breaks, but like, I just mean when I had this game on the go, that was the only thing I was playing. I would like burrow myself into the couch late at night, just immersing myself in this incredible black and white experience. And it was just so good. Like, I remember being so into it. I went all out. Like, I 100% of the game, and it was just crazy. Sometimes being stumped for an hour on a puzzle and just racking my brain. Like, how do you possibly solve this? So, like, this is one of the most impactful games that I have ever played on the Switch. It's one of my absolute favorites. And part of that is because it had such a huge impact on me. And I just have fond memories of, yeah, just being consumed by this game and surrendering to it and just loving it. So that's the bridge. I definitely love that one. I'm going to swig some water before I continue, because this is going to be a whole lot of talking. And I can already feel my throat getting a slightly raspy. Okay, so for Minecraft, this is not one that I chose myself. At the time, Autumn didn't have her Switch yet. Like, she wouldn't have it for quite some time. But she has had periods of her life where she was really into Minecraft with her family and stuff like that, and whatever the case was. So she actually purchased this one. And I got into it somewhat. Definitely not a ton, because it really isn't my kind of game, to be honest. It was cool creating some like pretty awesome things and like building secret passages and all that stuff, but for the most part, like, that faded out pretty quickly, and I don't really see myself ever doing anything else with it. So anyway, that was Minecraft. Slain Back from Hell was one of those games where, by the way, it's awesome. I love this game. I have the signature edition as well, and it's just so good. But this was one that, excuse me, I saw. I don't think I got it. No, I definitely didn't. Excuse me, jeez. My throat is going like crazy fast. This is one, I didn't get it right away when it came out, but I was kind of looking stuff up on it. And as soon as I saw something like, oh, like it's too hard, it's like so hard, I was like, oh, well, that's my kind of game. When people are like whining about the difficulty, it's just like, oh, great, I'm gonna get that game and just like crush it because that's just what I do. So yeah, like I got it, loved it. It's so cool. Like the pixel art is just awesome, amazing visuals. Like the backgrounds are just gorgeous, and it's definitely challenging. It's a game where you aren't just hacking and slashing. You're pacing yourself, and everything is really calculated. Otherwise, like you will not be surviving this game. Like there's just no way around it. So anyway, that's Slain Back from Hell. Just an awesome game. Axiom Verge. Oh, you guys, this is another one of my top favorite games on the Switch. Again, it's like The Bridge where I got this. Well, here's the story. I saw the trailer like months before the game actually came out on the Switch. I saw the trailer, and from like the first 2 seconds or 3 seconds of the trailer where the music is setting in, and there's like just like text at the bottom. It's just like quotes from people who have like given it like high praise and that sort of thing. Like anyway, from those first few seconds, I was just like, oh my god, I am sold. Oh my god. Because like it's a retro style sci-fi like action adventure platforming Metroidvania. Like again, remember, like at this point I didn't have anything like this on the Switch yet. So when I saw this, I was just like, oh my god, like something like the old Game Boy Metroids. You've got to be kidding me. Like I am just so pumped for this. So the story goes, I eventually learned that they were releasing a physical version of this as well as the digital, of course. And so what happened is when we got closer to the release date, what ended up happening was the physical was pushed back something like 2 months. And I was just like, no, you've got to be kidding me. Like I was so amped about this game because you can see it up here too. That's the cartridge version. I was so amped for this game, and I was kind of tossing around like, okay, do I just not buy the digital and just wait for the physical even though it's 2 whole months away still? And I eventually was like, no, the excitement, the drive is here. Like I am not waiting, like it's happening now. So anyway, I got the game, I played it again, just like The Bridge. It was like 3 days of just pumping myself into this game, just being so immersed, loving every possible thing about it. I did like everything, 100%, you name it. And I loved it so much that I, like on normal mode, 100%ing everything, that as soon as I was done the game, I did 100% in hard mode as well. And honestly, to this day, this is like one of the best, in my opinion, platforming, like side-scrolling Metroidvania sci-fi games ever. In terms of story, like, oh my god, I was blown away for days even after seeing how it ended and all that stuff. Like just still in a state of awe in terms of what Tom Happ created story-wise. Like compared to like the Metroid stories, like Metroid's got nothing on Axiom Verge. A lot of people complain about Axiom Verge's story, but like there's so many little details that you won't be aware of unless you dig for them. And when you have that whole picture, you aren't necessarily given an answer, but it points to some very, very intriguing possibilities, and it's just mind-numbingly awesome. I love Axiom Verge. It's so good. Tom Happ does have a sequel in mind for like sometime years down the road. So anyway, that's something wicked to look forward to, which I do. Oh my god, Layers of Fear, you guys. So I think the night Autumn and I got back from our 2-month trip to Nepal, I think I bought this that night or like the second night or something. I'm pretty sure it was the first night back, but I started Let's Play. I did the whole thing with like webcam for capturing the moments where I jump, and oh my god, this was a blast. It's such a different energy, and because at the time, like, my viewers were so used to seeing like a certain type of dace, and then for me to plunge myself into this and them kind of just seeing one where it's just like I'm on edge constantly and I'm just creeping around this twisted mansion, and yeah, like, it was just so fascinating. Like, thriller horror kind of stuff isn't exactly my go-to genre, but at the same time I do like them every once in a while because it is so different and it's just really fascinating, yeah, dipping into this kind of experience in games. So anyway, that was that. Really awesome. Fox and Forests. This was another one. Even before going on the trip, I had seen screenshots of this and just some like demo play kind of stuff that people were doing with like the beta, like the earliest possible versions before there were like whatever. Yeah. So I was just really intrigued by the fact that you're this fox and you're going around with like a weapon and you're just adventuring in these really colorful forest areas and like other places and collecting like all sorts of stuff. Like, it was just like, I love retro and I love indie, so like this was just solid. I was sold just from the screenshots and things like that. So anyway, this didn't come out until after we got back from the trip, and so it's another one that I snatched up and played it. I did a Let's Play, and I just love it. It's just a really cool platformer, gorgeous art, and it's just really unique. Super Mario Odyssey. Now, this is one of the few AAA titles that I've got. To be honest, I got this because I was like, yeah, okay, cool. Like, I might as well just at least check it out. And yeah, like, I blasted through the game in something like 15 hours without really, like, that didn't take much effort, to be honest. Like, and I collected a fair amount of stuff. Like, I would in some ways kind of like to go back and clean up whatever else I haven't gotten yet. And it is a really colorful game, but at the same time, like, it was just like, oh, like 15 hours and I'm done. Like, okay, what's the big deal? Like at the same time, it didn't surprise me because like I just have this mentality surrounding AAA titles. So yeah, Super Mario Odyssey. Let's go over here. Okay, so Axiom Verge. Let's say it again. Okay, so this was obviously the first thing I got on the Switch, and now that being said, it was not the reason I got the Switch, and I will get to that. Some of you will already know what game I'm talking about, which actually was like the deciding factor for getting the Switch. But this was like a huge plus to getting the Switch, and the fact that it was one of the first games anyway. So Breath of the Wild, yeah, this was wild because I grew up playing and loving the Zelda games that came out for like the Nintendo handhelds specifically, because I haven't played any of the other ones. So I knew this was going to be a very different experience. But anyway, like I got this and I just got into it and it was really awesome. Like, I mean, later on I developed a different opinion of the game, but it doesn't change the fact that like when I was playing it and when it was my first game on the Switch, it was an amazing experience. It started off where I would do like just 10 minutes a day, because remember, like when I got the Switch, that was like my first time dipping back into the gaming world. Before then, it had been years without playing any single games at all. So yeah, like it would be 10 minutes sitting on the couch playing Zelda, and be like, yeah, that's good for today. Like I don't really want to play anymore. And then eventually it was like, oh, an hour sit down session, and then 2 hours, and then over the course of a a Saturday or Sunday would be like 8 hours of Zelda, and just really, really amping it up. So anyway, lots of really cool moments. I think I actually will at some point just do a video where I kind of run around and check out a few places and share some of the fond memories that I have in Zelda. I'm going to drink some more water before we get on to Darkest Dungeon. Excuse me. Okay, so, and depending on how long this goes, I might even break it up into 2 parts because my voice is really, really going. Okay, so, Darkest Dungeon. Jeez, my voice. So when I was in Nepal still, I developed this insanely immense drive for getting this game and playing it. And so I was like, honestly, I was desperate to get Darkest Dungeon. And so anyway, when we got back from the trip, the Ancestral Edition was one of the first things I tracked down. I think I had it the second night being back or something like that. And yeah, like it's really, really fascinating. I haven't touched it in months and months. And interestingly enough, just the other night, my buddy and I were talking about this game, and my stance on it now is like I don't really see myself booting it up anytime soon, to be honest. It's like, as cool as it is, I just don't feel interested enough in investing the kind of time and energy that this game takes. At the same time, like I do want to, get at it sometime, but I'm not going to force that at all. Like it's kind of just like, yeah, whatever. So yeah, Darkest Dungeon, really cool game, but not touching it these days. Hammerwatch, this is a really neat dungeon crawler that I was inspired to get. I was checking out some gameplay and some short reviews and stuff, and it just sounded and looked awesome. And so yeah, I got it the one weekend, a little while ago, and I just played the whole first campaign and loved it. It was just so cool, like just tons of enemies coming at you and like cool bosses, and it just looked so old school and just felt like you were actually playing something from way back. And anyway, they got like 2-player and whatever else that all comes with the game. So anyway, that's Hammerwatch. Definitely give that a look. It's super cool. Blossom Tales, The Sleeping King. Man, I have an opinion on this game too. I actually did, I won't say it's a strict review, but it's like a review comparison where I'm comparing it to Zelda games from way back. And the reason I did that is because this game came out, I played it, I was not wowed by it. Like, initially, I got the game because it looked like another classic retro RPG, like Zelda, and I was like, okay, I'll give this a shot, it looks really cool. And I played it, and it really, like, it did not impress me. I felt it was very underwhelming. And at the same time, I was seeing people saying, like, oh, this is right up there with A Link to the Past, and like, oh, this is like so good. Like it's the Zelda game I wanted when I was way younger, and now I'm finally getting it. It's like, you've got to be kidding me. Yeah, you're entitled to that, fair, but like I cannot comprehend what you mean by that. And so I went in depth pointing out a lot of different things where this game was lacking big time, and where they could have just been creative on their own instead of just literally copying from A Link to the Past. Now, anyway, I do, like, at the same time, it was still fun. It was still a neat experience. It's just that it was, like, it wasn't what everyone was saying, okay? So I do want to play this game again, and I will probably do a Let's Play at some point. But And I will probably do a strict review, not one that's comparing it to other games or just bringing up what other people are saying and like saying like, whoa, wait a minute, da 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 da. But it will be a review just specifically on Blossom Tales, not anything like stretching out to compare it, like anything like that. So in that sense, that'll be a different style review when we get to that. So anyway, okay, Bloodstained Curse of the Moon. So this came out not too long ago. And again, it just like 8-bit style graphics is what they were going for. And man, the backgrounds, the visuals, everything. The gameplay is like clunky, just like old school games. But yeah, I got this because I thought like, man, it's so retro. It just looks awesome. I'm going to check it out. So I did a Let's Play of that. I think I reviewed it. Yeah, I definitely did. And yeah, I had some fun with that. I don't really see myself playing through it again anytime soon, but for what it was, and I think it was like $5 or $8 or $10 or something, it was, yeah, totally worth it. Water time. I am going to be clearing my throat quite a bit, you guys, so bear with me. The Sparkle Evo. Okay, so this was literally a game that I have barely touched, but it is really cool, and I actually do want to boot it up again. It's just a matter of being in one of those moments. But anyway, this was kind of like, I saw some footage, and it looked like a really relaxing, laid-back experience. You're just this creature that goes around and consumes like nutrients essentially, and you evolve and whatever else. Yeah, definitely look it up because like that does not express enough of what's going on in the game. But anyway, like it was just a few bucks. It was on sale or something, and I got it and enjoyed it for a little while, and I will get into it again someday. The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Okay, so I had never played an Elder Scrolls game, let alone Skyrim. So when this came to the Switch, I was like, well, of course I'm going to get a physical of this game. And so anyway, I did, and it's epic. I just pumped a ton of time into Skyrim so far, and it's one that I do really want to get back to at some point, but I'm kind of just like letting it sit for now. It's just awesome, like open world, of course, and just customizing your character, having it look the way you want, and it's just so wicked. You can do so much in this game, and the visuals, like even though it's not like a PC version, it looks gorgeous on the Switch anyway. Like there's really no complaining. Like, I mean, it's on a handheld, so honestly, yeah, that's that. For N++, so interesting story. I used to have Nintendo DS, and they had an N+ game, which I was really into. I'm not going to get into like the story surrounding why, or like one of my most fond memories, because you can just go to my one video on this game, my first impressions or whatever, and because I share that story in there. But anyway, N++ was I was playing that years ago, or N+, I mean, was playing that years ago, and so when I saw that N++ was coming to the Switch, I was like, sweet, that's going to be really cool to have that. Now, honestly, I haven't done much with this game, to be honest. It was neat getting into it, but at the same time, I think just with where my preferences are these days, it's not something that I'm gonna like 100%. Like there is an insane amount of levels. I think there are over like 4,000 levels or something outrageous like that. So chances are I'm not gonna be like, I don't have the drive to like max out every possible thing in that game. But anyway, you are this little stick man ninja, or like stick woman, like whatever, stick person, and you just go through these really basic looking, like the graphics are not impressive by any means, but the point is like you're just this ninja, and you avoid traps and missiles and like all these things, and you collect gold and you beat the timer, and yeah, you just work your way through all these rooms. Neurovoider, oh my god, you guys. Oh, this is just so good. So just picture swarms of robots. It's like a dungeon crawler. So you use like scrap materials to like pay for like getting all these parts and weapons, and you just pretty much every new level you're supering yourself up more and more, and your robot is like never the same because you're always switching things out for better parts and better weapons and all that stuff. So anyway, like you just go through these levels laying waste to swarms of robots and elite robots, and eventually work your way up to like bigger and bigger bosses, and then the final one is this huge monstrosity, and it's just so good. Like, oh man, in terms of rogue inspired games, this is easily in my top 5. That is for sure. And just the other night I was thinking about actually booting this up sometime soon and playing some more, because I haven't in quite a while, but it is so good. And yeah, so getting that on sale was definitely a bonus. So Mega Man Legacy Collection, we'll actually just do 1 and 2 together. So this, I think, is a total of 10 games. 1 through 10. And so this was like a no-brainer for me. I grew up playing the original NES Mega Man games way back, and of course I love them. They were like sure, I played stuff like Super Mario Bros. And all that stuff, but Mega Man was the first thing that really gripped my intrigue and my attention. Like, I loved it. There was just something about it that was like, yeah, this is really me. Like, this is what I'm talking about, not this Mario nonsense. So anyway, yeah, it was a no-brainer. I got them. I did a bunch of Let's Plays for like, I think 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm not sure if I did 7 yet. I did 8. I know that. So yeah, anyway, it's just really awesome to have these classics on the Switch. You can play, I can play Mega Man in handheld mode if I want. Like, it's just incredible. So that was really sweet. This was one that, this is another, like rogue inspired, where you just go around shooting enemies and surviving as long as you can while progressing from level to level. So, like, permadeath is obviously in this. So once you're dead, you're back to the beginning. But anyway, this is another game, kind of like Slain, where I heard people saying like, oh, it's so hard. And I was like, man, like, I love it, so I'm going to get it. And now I haven't actually played a ton of this game, and I have certainly not gotten very far in it, because as cool as it is, I wasn't feeling it at the time. But I know I will at some point pick this up when I'm feeling like it. But anyway, really cool art style and music, and it's just, yeah, it's a great time. So anyway, Wonderboy. Oh man, the Dragon's Trap. This is a game, Card Dreamer from D-Class, and be sure to check out their channel. This is one he recommended to me specifically because he knows that I'm really into certain types of art styles, and this one is one of those art styles. So I got this a few months back, or maybe even longer, I'm not sure. And I did a Let's Play, and we're aiming to release our Let's Plays together, because I did the modern visual version, and he is doing the like the classic version. So it's, yeah, we have that in the works for some time down the road. So anyway, really, really cool game. I absolutely love the art style in this game. it was like being in a storybook, to be honest. Like it's so good. The music is so quaint and pleasant. It's just a really cool adventure. So I was absolutely thrilled to go through this game. So a big thanks to Card Dreamer for mentioning that one. This game, oh my god, this game is so great. Now I remember this being seeing it on the eShop or something like that when it first came out, but it's not one I actually gave a look to until later on. It was like a handful of months ago now, but I ordered this. It's an isometric puzzle like platformer, and it is just so cool. I don't think it took too long to beat it. I think just 2 or 3 days or something like that. But and I did do a full Let's Play of the game as well. But yeah, it's just there was something that just gripped my attention, like seeing this, and it just reminded me of like old style PlayStation games. And I mean original PlayStation. There was just something about this game that looked and felt like something I would have played on PlayStation way back. So when I saw this, I was like, man, I'm totally going to get this. So anyway, I did the game. I enjoyed it so much that immediately after, like we're talking back to back, I then recorded the Let's Play like right after the first file. So that really cool puzzles, all sorts of things hidden around, great music. It's just really unique. And oh man, it's just so good. Devious Dungeon, or Bit Dungeon Plus. This is Devious Dungeon. Bit Dungeon Plus is a dungeon crawler, like sort of top down, where you you go through dungeons, you get weapons and I think shields and like whatever else, and you collect potions and you just slay enemies and go from one dungeon room to the next and you fight bosses. This was on sale for like really cheap and it just looked cool. And it was when I was in that, well, I'm always in a dungeon crawler mode because I just love dungeon crawlers. But there was a phase where I was just like scouring the eShop like for every little like dungeon crawler I could possibly find. And so I came across this one. I was like, man, that looks so sweet. It looks so retro. And yeah, I'm going to check it out because it's cheap enough. So yeah, I played a bunch of that on like one weekend and I haven't touched it in ages because like other games came into the mix. But it's definitely a fun one and it's one that I enjoy. Devious Dungeon. Now this is a dungeon crawler that is a platformer style. And I've only booted this up once and it's really, really neat. And again, I got these two the same time. So like the same reason for picking this up. It was cheap. It was a dungeon crawler. And interestingly enough, I think part of why I got this one because it was a platformer and not a top-down style. So I was intrigued to see how that played out. So yeah, Devious Dungeon. I will eventually get into this, but right now it's like, well, okay, whatever. Other things on the go. But there will be a time and a place for Devious Dungeon. Cubic. Oh man, you guys. Cubic is so good. So this was before the trip to Nepal. I got Cubic. It was like preposterously cheap. And because I love puzzle games that have you just bending your mind to solve stuff, I was like totally on board with getting this. So I got it and I solved every single one. I think there were 63 or so, or maybe 65. I'm not too sure. But yeah, like I solved everything completely on my own and then did tutorial, or well, not, yeah, I just did like solution vids for every single possible puzzle in the game. And yeah, Cubic, just a blast if you love puzzle games. Really cool. You're just this little square that goes around eating like dirt that's your way of like navigating and like making your way. And so you got blocks that can fall if you've eaten the dirt underneath it, and like teleporters and just all sorts of different gadgets to use, more or less, for solving these puzzles that scale up in difficulty pretty quickly. So yeah, just a blast with that. Runner 3, this was when I was having a bit of a Nicholas or Nicalis, or however you say it. I was on a bit of a kick there where I was scooping up a bunch of their physicals because they got some pretty sweet games. Now, I've only played this once. I did my like first, I don't even recall if it was a first impressions video or if it was just like me booting it up for the first time and recording and sharing it. But anyway, whatever it was, I had a fun time with this. Definitely challenging in terms of getting used to, like, well, it's not that I'm not used to precision timing in games for like certain things, but there was just something about this where like it's so easy to mess up, and then you're like, you gotta be kidding me, like back to the start or back to like the halfway point or whatever. But it's really cool, just like music, really wild settings, scenery, and just, yeah, avoiding obstacles and just running through levels. Like it's really neat. So anyway, that's why I have that. Doom is interesting because when it first came out, I had no interest in getting it, because I'm not into FPS games at all. Like, I never touch them. But there was just something about Doom that intrigued me. I started thinking in terms of like, oh man, like, you're on Mars, you're going up against demons with like awesome weapons and all this stuff. And when you're at low health, it's not about like, oh, like running away and like playing it safe. This game encourages you to actually make that next kill so that you can get health. So it's just like, yeah, like I feel there was just something about this that was like, oh man, the adrenaline, the rush that this game is actually encouraging is like why I want to get into this. So I got into this game, like just normal mode, start to finish, just an amazing game. So yeah, Doom, so super cool. Nine Parchments, this is a really cool game, a top-down game where you're just like this wizard student and you just go around and fling spells here and there and destroy monsters and work your way towards like bosses and collecting the parchments. So yeah, GT Dominator and I were, this was months ago, we were kind of tossing around some ideas like what could we get that we can play together when we connect in person. And this was one of those that we were tossing around and just like, oh, well, yeah, do we want to or do we not want to? Eventually, it was on sale for like half price, and I was like, okay, man, like, I think it was $12, which is just ridiculously cheap, in my opinion, for the visuals alone. Because if you've seen this game, you know, okay? This game is just lush, vibrant. The colors are just so rich and beautiful, and holy smokes, the backgrounds, like when you can see off into the distance, or if you're up in like these high areas and you can see far below at like these mountain valleys, like, oh my god, it's like, just buy the game just for the visuals and you will not be sorry. So anyway, Nine Parchments, I did a full Let's Play of this game, and yeah, it's so good. Slimeson, man, this is interesting because like way back in my earlier Switch phases on the eShop, when I would see things that just looked a certain way, I would just skim over it because at the time it wasn't what I was looking for. And if it didn't look or sound like anything interesting, I would just be like, okay, like whatever. But anyway, Slimeson, eventually I was listening to this one review on this, and after hearing what was said, I thought to myself, like, wow, how did I not actually take the time to check this out, or like what was that all about? Because like when I was hearing this information and seeing the gameplay footage more in depth, I was like, man, this is exactly what I would want to be playing, or at least in the moment. So anyway, I scooped this up, had a blast playing and just crushing the levels completely, and just amazing music. And I grew to really love the look and feel of the game, and it's so good. I love Slime Song. I have my Slimy bundle on order from LRG. I ordered that ages ago now. Actually, that was the first thing I ordered on limited run games, and that's finally been shipped out, so I'm eager to get that at some point. Muddle Dash. This was one that it was, yeah, I think like, yeah, it was cheap enough, like $8 or something, and it was just one of those like fun party games where you play when you have people over. So it's really great. You play this octopus, and like you and your friends, like however many people are playing, you play this octopus, and yeah, you just are carrying this gift to the party. You want to be the one to make it to the party holding the gift. So that's Muddle Dash. Like it's frantic, it's crazy. Like when GT, Autumn, and I were playing this, like at points we were just like shouting and like being so loud and just like having a riot, and it was just craziness. So this is one of those games. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So I have never been into racing games, to be honest. There have been like Pod Racers for Dreamcast I loved, okay? And GT and I played a ton of that when we were younger. But anyway, this was out for Switch, and I was like, well, okay, I'll see what it's like, even though it's a Mario game and even though it's a racing game. Like, those are two things that pretty much just turned me off, period. But anyway, like, I sunk some serious time into this and certainly enjoyed it and got, like, really skilled at it. But yeah, these days I don't really see myself playing this. Yeah, like, I don't want to say ever again, but that's probably what it's going to be like. Who knows, though. Anyway, Mutant Mudds Collection. Oh my god, you guys, this is platforming. This is so much fun. The music is so retro sounding and great. I love the music. The visuals, the pixel art is amazing, and the platforming is awesome. This game, you play Max, you have a jetpack and like a water gun, and you just go around blasting these mud mutant creatures, collecting like these crystals, and just there's a ton of stuff to do. And you can go into the foreground or into the background, depending on like these like jumper pad things you use. This is fun platforming. This is awesome. I have the physical coming whenever it does, from Super Rare Games, but I did not want to wait, so eventually I broke down. I did 100% in Mutant Mudds, and then I did 100% in Super Challenge, I think it's called, yeah. Now, interestingly enough, everyone says how insanely hard this game is, but to be honest, like, for playing, like, okay, we'll focus on Mutant Mudds, like the first one first. That, like, for my first time playing the game, my average completion time per level with like 100% of like everything you can get was like, I think, 1 minute and 20 seconds or something like that. Like, I literally breezed through this, and sure, there were a few times where things took 1 or 2 attempts, but like, it was not the crazy challenge like people have expressed it is. Super Challenge, on the other hand, that's where I definitely noticed things were more challenging. But at the same time, I still don't think that it's as insanely hard as everyone has been saying it is. Either that, or I'm just magically so skilled at the game. But I think it's just getting a certain reputation. But anyway, like I noticed my average completion time with 100% per level going through Super Challenge for the first time was like 3 to 4 minutes. So like they like definitely more challenging, but still not where you're stuck on a level for an hour like some people were expressing. Like, so it's definitely a challenging platforming game, and I love it, but it's definitely not what everyone. It's definitely not as hard as everyone is saying, in my opinion. Okay, moving on. Oh, by the way, I think. Well, actually, I'll do that after. The Way Remastered. This was on sale, and I was tempted to get it the one time, but I missed it by like a day because I was like, oh, well, okay, whatever. But when it came on sale again, I snatched it up because the music in this game and the exotic alien world and just the story. So you play this guy, his wife has passed away, and you are just not able to come to terms with that. So you're like, and by the way, like this takes place in the future. It's a sci-fi platformer. And anyway, you are like, well, okay, I'm going to take your body to this like temple on this one planet because there's like this secret to life and da 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 da. So, excuse me. So anyway, you make your way. There are puzzles to solve. It's just really cool. You go through so many exotic environments, and it's just a really cool story. There are all sorts of things that happen along the way, and the ending is really, really fascinating, and it leaves you with one choice or the other before things are wrapped up, and it's just like, oh man, like what do you choose? Like, oh, what do you do? But this was another game where like I played through it from start to finish, and I loved it so much that I played it again start to finish right after for the purposes of like recording and sharing it on the channel because I loved the game that much and was like, man, people have got to be seeing this game. It is so good. The Moose Man. So this was a game that came out not too long ago, and I scooped it up because the art style again just captivated me, and yeah, like I played it. I think I'm not sure how many sittings. It might have been like 3 episodes or something. It's not a long game at all, but it is really cool. You just walk through these different like nature settings as this like shaman or something, and you can go from the physical world to the spirit world to see what things are actually other things, like on the flip side. So, and along the way you learn about like actual folklore. I think it's like ancient Russian folklore or something like that, but just a really cool game. I really enjoyed my time with this one. And then we have Celeste. Oh my god, you guys. So this is the game I mentioned before, the deciding factor as to why I got a Switch in the first place, because I saw screenshots of this and was like I had played the original, like the classic version, and yeah, honestly, this game, when I saw this game was coming to the Switch, I was like, all right, I'm gonna get a Switch. Yeah, because that's that. So this game is one of the best platformers in terms of like dexterity. I call them dexterity platformers. The music is awesome. You play this girl who more or less is climbing a mountain and just overcoming all of these obstacles and crazy challenges with the normal game is like definitely a challenge of its own, but then you've got like the B-side versions of the levels and the C-side versions, and yeah, this game is so demanding that you have precision playing. There were parts where like I would be stuck on like a single section of a level for like an hour, just you keep fumbling it up, and you're just like, come on, like, are you kidding me? Like, but not in like a frustrating way. It was in a way where it's like you're loving the platformer so much and the game so much that you're just like, okay, yeah, like let's get this figured out. But yeah, like honestly, some of the stuff was just so over the top difficult. But yeah, it's just such a wicked game. I remember playing the old one way back, and that was also a pretty insane challenge, getting into that for the first time. But when you learn the ropes, you learn like what you can do, and I had some fun speed running some of the levels and stuff like that. So Celeste, oh my god, not enough awesomeness I could say about this game. If you haven't played it, oh man, definitely give it a look. Semblance, this came out not too long ago. It's another like puzzle platformer where you play this little goo guy, and yeah, you solve puzzles by morphing the settings around you. So like if there's a platform, you can smash it down to bend it down, if that is like helping you, or like you can jump, smash upwards to like bend it upwards, or you can just smash into the ground to make a dip if you want there to be a dip for whatever reason. Anyway, gorgeous colors, really, really interesting puzzles. I did full solutions for the whole game, and so that's on the channel. But yeah, Semblance, really, really cool. Really, really cool. Shoe, now this is one I have not played yet. I picked it up because it was on the eShop for like $5. It was on sale. So I'm not going to like say too much about this because I haven't dipped into it. But I just want, like, the reason I got it though is because the art style was looking really cool, and it just looked like a fun adventure to, yeah, start up at some point. So that's Shoe. So this is another Sparkle game. This is Sparkle Zero. So same idea, just as the other one, just a different look, but same exact idea. Like you're just this creature swimming around, eating, growing, evolving, and yeah, it was super cheap, like less than $2 or something like that. So yeah, anyway, that's Sparkle Zero. I snatched it up because it is just soothing with the ambient music and whatever else. Inversus Deluxe. Oh my god. This game, I've pumped some mad hours into this one. Excuse me. So, oh yeah, in this game it's an arcade shooter. You shoot in 4 different directions. You're a square, and I think you've got 5 shots. I haven't played it in quite a while now, but oh, what do I even say? It's so good, and it gets so insane. But you're like, let's say you're a white square in a black zone. That means that until you shoot your shot and create a white path, you won't be able to move in that black zone. So your opponent, who is going to be the opposite color, has the same predicament. Like if they're in their color, then they can move around freely. If they are suddenly surrounded by an increasing amount of white because you're firing your white shots, then that locks them in place. So there is definitely some really unique strategy. And there are different modes like arcade mode or just like 1v1. I love arcade mode just because it's just an insane amount of guys coming at you, and you want to be staying on top of it all, and it just gets so crazy. So Inversus Deluxe, man, there was one time GT and we got together to do one of our regular like Switch nights where we both play and we showcase our new games and that sort of thing. We ended up playing like 2.5 solid hours of just Inversus, and we enjoyed it so much that like after like chatting and dipping into a few other things just to see them and show them, we did another 2.5 hours straight of Inversus. So a total of 5 hours in the whole night of Inversus Deluxe. Like, it's just crazy. So anyway, that's Inversus. Wizard of Legend. Oh man, another dungeon crawler, and this like top-down style too. This came out not too long ago, but I was on board right from the moment I saw it. Just like unlocking a ton of different spells and you name it, and comboing them however you want to combo them, and just getting different robes that have different perks. And yeah, just going up against boss after boss and then getting to the final boss and seeing if your build is going to be, yeah, like your spell choices, if they're going to be enough. And so yeah, like just so good. I love this game. I pumped a bunch of hours into this for sure. Yeah, so that's Wizard of Legend. A Robot Named Fight. Oh man, I got this and I love it. It looks and feels like Super Metroid. It plays like Super Metroid. It's just when I booted it up, it was like, man, this really feels like Super Metroid. And again, it's like a rogue inspired with permadeath, and oh man, it is so good. Like there are just a ton of unlockables and achievements, and I love this game. It is up there in my top list. That is for sure. Like I played so much of this. I think there was like an update not too long ago, so I think there may be a few things that they added which I haven't gotten yet. But in terms of like getting some of the achievements where it's like, oh, beat the game in this amount of time on this mode, or like whatever the case is, like I did all of that, and holy smokes, the game is so good. So you just play this robot that's going through, yeah, like platforming sections, different regions, and you're just going up against bosses. And then of course you get to this mega beast, this huge boss with all these tentacles and crazy attacks. Then eventually, like after beating him, I think 5 or 6 times, you are then able to access, maybe it's not that many, but it could very well be that many times. And then you get to go inside for like being inside the creature and like fighting the core, and it's epic. Honestly, you guys, it's epic. Kid Trip, this was a couple of bucks or something crazy like that, and it looked like just a really fun game to at some point share on the channel. It's colorful, it's bright. It's one of those games where you're just running constantly and jumping and throwing, I think, rocks or something like that. So the levels don't take too long, to be honest, like maybe 30 seconds at most, if that. But yeah, your character is constantly running, you're jumping to avoid creatures, or you're throwing stones ahead of time to take out those creatures so that you're not running into them. But yeah, you're jumping over pits, like avoiding all sorts of things. Just really cool. I think in total, the whole game took me like an hour, and it's got a ton of achievements, which is really neat. Some of them are just ridiculous. Like you read them and you're like, oh my God, I don't even want to think about pulling that off. But anyway, it was super cheap, a really neat little game, and I'm glad I got it. And yeah, so anyway, moving on. Mega Man X Legacy Collection, and we'll do that with Mega Man X Legacy Collection 2. So again, it's not that I grew up with the X games. I played them years later, but of course, me loving Mega Man, I was so into the X games when I did come across them. So anyway, of course, when these came out with the physical, not that the second one is the physical, but you get the download code with the physical of like the first collection. Yeah, that was again a no-brainer, because it was like, you got to be kidding me. I can play the Mega Man X games on the Nintendo Switch, like in handheld if I want. Like that's just happening no matter what. So yeah, that was that. Oceanhorn, I got the physical from Limited Run Games. Now I actually haven't played this game, but I'm eager to, because it kind of reminded me of, I don't want to say Breath of the Wild, but that's kind of just like what comes to mind as a comparison. Obviously not anywhere near as in depth, but it just looked like a fun, colorful game where you just go around and yeah, you just adventure and you just discover things and you just explore and have a fun time. So that's Oceanhorn, Monster of Uncharted Seas. Now, Ginger Snap did an unboxing video. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out on my channel. If you have seen it, go check it out again because it's hilarious. Aegis Defenders, man, this game is sweet. I typically, like, I would say that I'm not really into tower defense games, but there was something about the look and music of this game that really captivated me. So I got it when it was on sale, and I loved it. It gets really intense at times. So you play this girl, Clue. Oh, Clue. And then there's like her grandfather, Bart, and you get other characters. But anyway, they uncover this like little robot thing that has this hidden agenda. And so you're heading towards the thing, and there's this evil empire, and just the levels are crazy. It's such a blast because it's a mix of platforming and tower defense. You have the first section of the level, which is like platforming, and that's a blast, solving puzzles, collecting relics and resources, and then in the last half you have your actual tower defense like battle stage where everything is just down to the wire and it's just crazy, and yeah, it's just so good, wave after wave. So anyway, Aegis Defenders, I did a review, so be sure to check that out because it's a really, really awesome game. Phantom Trigger, now this kind of looked to me like Hyper Light Drifter, not that I've played that yet, but I really want to because, yeah, I know it's a solid game. But anyway, Phantom Trigger, this was kind of like just a spur of the moment. I had some funds on the eShop and was like, man, I feel like doing this because it looks really cool. And it's like a psychological story too. So you play this guy who's like suffering from some sort of like mental breakdown or whatever the case is. And so you'll have like these flashes where you're seeing scenes of him and his wife talking or going through like sit downs with a shrink. And then you'll be in the gameplay parts where you're in these dungeons going up against monsters. You have like really cool weapons like these energy like fire claws or something. And then you have like a laser whip, which is just amazing. And then you have, I think, an ice sword. I think that's what you've got at your disposal. But anyway, yeah, there are some puzzles to figure out, bosses to go up against, and it's just a really cool game. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I did a Let's Play of this, and yeah, it's awesome. The Binding of Isaac, Afterbirth Plus. I got the physical, and I've only booted it up twice. I have not played a lot. As much as I like dungeon crawlers and that sort of thing, and rogue-inspired games, whether roguelike or roguelite, and this one hasn't gripped me yet. I know I will eventually play this, but right now, like, it's just not the game that I want to be playing in that kind of genre. So yeah, that's that. Yoku's Island Express. Oh my god. Bought the physical after seeing one person's review where, well, no, it wasn't even a review. It was just like someone's list of like, yeah, just like top games rated, whatever. And it was, yeah, like typically I don't really buy games based off of like people saying like, oh yeah, this is my top this, or this is a top list from here. But it was at least an opportunity to see some different games that I might not have looked at. So when I saw this in that video, I was like, holy smokes, this looks amazing. It's a mix between like a sweet adventure, Metroidvania, oddly enough, and pinball. So like, yeah, I saw it, I booted up, I did a first impressions video, and oh my god, like it is just so lush, rich, colorful, fun beautiful, awesome music. Like, it was just mind-blowing how cool this was. And so, like, yeah, I played that, like, 100% of everything, just like went all out, and it's just such a good game. I love it. SteamWorld Dig 2, I played this right after Yoku. Again, picked up the physical, it sounded and looked awesome. You play this, yeah, I think I'm actually getting off topic because I think I've skimmed over a few things. So in here, you just more or less play Yoku's, you play a beetle, and he's going around attempting to restore harmony to the island, yada yada, you get the idea. But anyway, in SteamWorld Dig 2, you play this robotic female, I don't recall her name, but you just, yeah, there's like these mysterious earthquakes happening and whatever else. And so, yeah, you collect all sorts of gems and things, and you get wicked upgrades that unlock like abilities and things like that, and you can, there's so much room for customization. So yeah, I played that, and it was super short but super enjoyable as well. So SteamWorld Dig 2, really fun. Super One More Jump, this, man, it was cheap, so I picked it up. It looked like at the time I was in the mood for like something that was demanding of like precision, timed maneuvers and stuff. You only jump in this game. That's like, you're literally just using one button. But man, this game is awesome. And there is a ton of content. It's ridiculous how many different play modes and levels there are. Like, almost astronomical. Like, that's an exaggeration, but like, it's crazy how many different modes you can unlock. So I've almost completed the main game, like the main set of levels, which there are close to 100 or something like that. And then that's not even dipping into the other modes. It's crazy. I have not been in the mood for playing this just because, yeah, like some of the levels can take, like a single level that is, let's say, 15 minutes from start to finish, or no, 15 seconds from start to finish. Sometimes you are just fumbling and fumbling and fumbling for like who knows how long. Like, there have been some times where like a 15 to 30 second level has taken me like 30 to 40 minutes just to master it. And of course, by master, I mean get all 3 gems in each level. Like, if I miss a gem, I'm just starting over. I'm not gonna, like, I can complete the levels faster, but because I want to go for those gems and max out every single level like that, I don't take no for an answer. Like, I just restart. So that's part of why some of them have taken so long. But anyway, you just jump just like crazy maneuvers from like one platform to another. It's one of those games where you're always moving, so you're avoiding obstacles and this and that, and just it's crazy, but it's so good too. Enter the Gungeon. So again, another top-down dungeon crawler with permadeath. Yeah, like, what is there to say? Like, it's certainly nowhere near my favorite in this genre, but it is just a really cool game too, and it's fun. So you play like one of a few characters who is going through these dungeon areas, collecting different weapons and just shooting like ammo type enemies or just like different creatures. So yeah, it's a blast. Totes the Goat. So this is a game I kind of just got for kicks. I have yet to show it on the channel. I definitely do want to, but you're more or less just this goat or whatever character you choose, and you jump around to convert all of these spaces that you can possibly land on into like you go from their starting, like they're all, I don't recall because it's been a while since I played it, but like, let's say they're white and you jump on them and they turn orange, for instance. Like, you want to complete every single, more or less land on every single space in each level while avoiding like spikes, dropping items, enemies that hop around from one space to another, just that sort of thing. And I don't recall if there are things you collect. I think there might be coins or something like that that you use to then pay for unlocking other characters. So really, really cool. We did that already. So Zeo Drifter, this is another Metroidvania platformer. Really cool sci-fi game. This game, you could probably, like, my first playthrough was like super short. I think like, and once I knew what to do, I could probably do this game in like slightly less than 2 hours probably. But really cool, just like dipping into this retro style, like gorgeous pixel art, colorful sci-fi world where you just have this little space captain and you just go around shooting enemies and fighting bosses and collecting stuff and just getting stronger. It's just really, really sweet. So yeah, that's why I have that. Astro Bear's Party, and I'm going to sip some water. Oh man. Okay, this is a lot of talking, and clearly we have decided not to do 2 parts. But Astro Bear's Party, you are a bear on a globe, and you're constantly moving, and you're constantly leaving a trail, and you don't want to hit that trail. So in the main mode, like single player, you want to be collecting these fish that have jetpacks, while avoiding your tail, which grows and grows as you get more fish. I obviously got it for the multiplayer aspect where 2 people are on a globe and you are jumping and jetpacking and avoiding the other person's tail and your own. And it's a blast. It's a lot of fun. Autumn and I definitely do still want to get at doing that, but we might actually wait for a night where GT is over, because I think it's just going to be that much, like it's going to be exponentially more crazy and fun, and it's just going to be a riot. So anyway, that's Astro Bear's Party. Again, this was like super cheap. I thought, how could I not just snatch this up and do something with it and just enjoy it? So Green, this is a really interesting like platformer where you play this square, this like cube rather. Well, actually, it's not 3D, so he might be a square. We're not sure. Anyway. But yeah, you can shoot blocks to create surfaces in which you can then use to platform your way up to higher regions. You can also take out enemies by like launching the blocks at them, or like set up, like if there's water that's falling from above, you can create a platform so that the water is blocked and you can go underneath safely. So it's not in English, from what I've noticed. So like I have no idea what the story is, but I think from what I've gathered just from the little scenes, your sweetheart cube has like gone into this dimension and you're like going after her to save her and whatever. So interestingly enough, again, like it was one that came out, I was like, sweet, I want to like share a little bit about this game when it drops. The controls are amazing. The controls are so amazing in this game. The only thing is, in terms of like difficulty, like it's kind of like the challenges. And again, this is because I'm going for 100% per level. Like if you die, you're back to the start. There's no checkpoint. And I feel like the game hasn't been set up in a way that encourages you to be stoked to keep at it. Like sometimes like you'll be taking so much time to set up this precise formation of blocks to do this jump, and then there will be like an enemy and you'll die and you'll be like, are you kidding me? Like I invested all this time just to make a setup to get so far into the level to then just die, let alone the rest of the level. Like in ways, it's not a fun kind of challenge. It's not something that has given me determination to boot this up again. I got fairly far into it, but there's just part of me that's like, man, I know what it's like, and it's not even a fun challenge. Which is rare for me, to be honest, but it's just one of those ones where it's like, okay, well, like I enjoyed a bit of time in it, and then it started to just get silly. And so, yeah, I haven't returned to it. Spirit Sphere DX. This is a really cool game where you are just more or less playing tennis with different kind of spheres that you can unlock and characters you can unlock and stuff like that. But yeah, you're just more or less playing tennis, and it's more geared, in my opinion, for multiplayer fun times. So that's that. Putty Pals. This is a cooperative game where you and someone else are these little balls of slime or whatever they are, or putty rather, and you help each other out by going through these levels, solving puzzles together, helping each other cross certain gaps or whatever. Like it's color, like one person is going to be one color and the other is another color, and one person might be able to go to areas the other person isn't. So in that sense, like it's all about teamwork, and it's just a lot of fun. Autumn and I have done some video stuff on this, so be sure to check that out. The Messenger. I have mixed feelings about this game. I got it the day it came out because I was stoked about a retro style, like Ninja Gaiden-esque type game for the Switch, and it looked awesome. And I definitely enjoyed my time with it, but I think this game got so much hype personally, and it definitely was not that experience for me personally. Like it was cool, but it was definitely not as cool as everyone said after the fact. Like after everyone started playing it, and that's when I started to see like all these like reviews, like, oh, like the best this, the best that, like blah, 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 blah. I do not agree with that. It's super cool, but at the same time, like it doesn't impress me. Amazing visuals, like holy smokes, the backgrounds and the pixel art, like awesome, but other than that, like it's a platformer, and it's sweet, but it's not like the end of it all amazing. So like no offense, but like that wasn't my experience with it. Stardew Valley, holy smokes, this is another one of my top games ever. This is epic. GT Dominator had this game before I did, and the one night when we were having one of our Switch nights, he showed me a little bit, and I was just like, holy smokes, this looks amazing. And it's nothing but like I grew up playing Harvest Moon on Game Boy, like those versions. So I was like, wow, it's like Harvest Moon, except it looks so much more in depth, and it is like the best. So it was in the winter. I have fond memories of just playing so many hours per day, because like, of course, I was doing landscaping in the summer leading up to it, so I had all winter off at that point. So like when I got into Stardew, holy smokes, I just like some days would be like 8 hours a day of Stardew. Not all at once, of course, but like spacing things out and doing other activities in between, but just a lot of Stardew each day. And it's just, anyway, you move to this farm, you inherited this farm, and you just build up your farm, and it's just, there is a lot of stuff to do, or there are a lot of things to do, rather, a lot of really cool things to explore, some things that have like timed unlocks, so like you won't be able to access this one area until this season or that season or whatever the case is. Just people to meet, people to date, eventually get married if you want, just like get it on nonstop. So just all sorts of amazing things. I was starting a Let's Play at one point, or have one on the go technically. But yeah, Stardew is just so good. It is just so easygoing. If you want it to be, like, a lot of people stress about this game. I have no idea how that's possible. But then again, like, I'm me, and of course I'm going to approach Stardew with just a really laid back mentality. So that's what it is for me. if you want to stress about it, go for it. But Stardew Valley is awesome. Beautiful, beautiful game. Amazing colors. Just so much I could say about this game. Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate. So I got the physical of this when it dropped not too long ago. I have barely dipped into this game. I think it's just a matter of being in the mood for it because like it is a pretty immense undertaking. I'm not even done the first category of the beginner starter quests. That's how little I've played. I haven't touched this in a number of weeks now. And I am really enjoying it. Like, it's a beautiful game. It's unique, but it's just a little more than I want to devote myself to currently just because of what else I have on the go right now. But anyway, you're a guy or a girl or whatever the case is, and you go around doing quests and fighting monsters and just doing all sorts of things in these really cool environments. 88 Heroes, oh man, such a blast. So when Autumn and I were in Nepal, D-Class released a video, and I think, from what I recall, it was just Ash playing. But he was playing this game, and it just looked like such a silly riot that I was sold the moment I saw it. So you have 88 possible heroes. If one dies, you get another one. And you just go through these levels, avoiding enemies, obstacles, like all sorts of things. And each one has just like these over-the-top or completely useless abilities. And it is just a blast. It is so fun. So when I saw that, I was like, man, I'm getting this game. And then I found out there's the physical version, which is like the 98 Heroes edition. And I was like, well, that's clearly the one I'm going to be getting because I love physicals. And yeah, it's just a really cool game. Lovers in a Dangerous Space-Time. So I got the physical of this from Super Rare Games not too long ago. And Autumn and I are currently playing it. We aim to showcase that at some point. It's one of those games where like it's geared towards multiplayer play. So you play these little creatures who are in this spaceship, and like you scramble to go from like, let's say, the shield, because like enemies are attacking you on the other side of the ship, and then you want to be like scrambling to the gun station so that you can be shooting, and like someone's going to be like flying the ship, and it gets crazy, and it's really colorful and really cool. So that's that. And the reason I got that is because GT had this game quite a while ago, and he showed me, and it looked awesome and fun and frantic. So when I saw that there was a physical, I was like, yep, I'm going to pick that up. Shantae, Half Genie Hero Ultimate Edition. Oh man, Metroidvania platformer. And like it's just action adventure. I haven't started. Well, okay, there was one night last week or 2 weeks ago where I was going to start doing it. But then a few seconds in, I was like, yeah, I'm actually not feeling like doing this yet because like I've got other things that I want to wrap up first. So I'm not counting this as I've actually played it or started playing it because I really have barely done anything. And I want to wait. But more or less, you're this genie. You're going to go around collecting things and killing enemies or whatever you do. But we're not really going to talk about this because I haven't done anything. Perception. Oh my god. This game is great. So you play a blind girl who is exploring this haunted house sort of deal, and she uses her echolocation sort of ability. Like you can tap, and that sends out this like ripple effect that sort of paints a picture of like what is around you. And there is this presence called the Presence, which you don't want to tap too much, because if you make too much noise by tapping to navigate, the Presence will come after you, and you either hide or you run and then hide, or it gets you. So like this game really, it's one of those games. It's like Layers of Fear, like constantly on edge as you unravel this mystery and like piece things together and avoid this dark force that is like stalking you. So yeah, like really creepy stuff. Aqua Kitty Ultra Deluxe Xenomorphic. Aqua Kitty. This is a really cool like arcade style shooter. There are different modes. They're all really sweet. But yeah, you just play this cat that's in like a submarine, and you just get power ups, and you crush enemies, and you rescue cats, and you fight bosses. So it was pretty cheap, and it was pretty awesome. I've played a ton in the short time that I was like playing it, and I really like it. It's super cool. Iconoclasts. This is a game that, to be honest, I would not have were it not for Card Dreamer. He got this for me because, well, maybe for a few reasons, but I was like really stoked to get this game when it first came out, but it was very pricey for a digital game, and it wasn't even a new game. So that was kind of like, well, why am I paying $18 for something that's been out for X amount of time? And yeah, like, so I was just not on board. Like, I was just not impressed with the price. And furthermore, I like messaged the dev to see if there was any intention of like a Swizzical Fitch release, a physical Switch release. And he never got back to me. So I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to buy your game then. Thanks. Even though like other systems were getting physical releases, but for some reason the Switch, there's like no mention about that. So I was like, oh, I'm just like not into that. Not into paying $20 for this. But anyway, Card Dreamer was like stoked to get me this, so he did, and I greatly appreciate that. So thank you, Card Dreamer. After I finish Dust and a few other projects that are on the go or will be on the go for this month specifically, I'm really looking forward to dipping into this because it does look like an awesome game. I have no idea too much of what it is about, to be honest, so I am not really able to say too much, but anyway, that's why I have this. I didn't buy it. He did for me in a sense, a roundabout way. So yeah, that's cool. Owlboy, man, we're actually at the top of the list. Owlboy, oh my god, the moment I saw like the first screenshots, I was sold. And then when I heard like it was coming to Switch, and then when I heard there was like a physical, I was like, oh my god, I'm waiting for that no matter what, because the digital was coming out before the physical, of course. And oh my god, what an incredible game. Like, it was literally the visuals and the fact that it was like a platformer and all action adventure and just like all sorts of cool stuff. I was sold right from the get-go, and I waited for months and months for this to finally come out, and then I did, and I played it. And then yeah, like, it was really cool. I didn't cover the game on my channel initially. I just played it on my own because it was one of those times where I was like, yeah, I want something just for myself, one of those games to just sit and enjoy it and not focus on recording and making it like a production and talking to the viewers and all that sort of thing. So I enjoyed it on my own. And then sometime later, actually not too long ago, it was just a few weeks or like a couple weeks ago, I actually did a full Let's Play and a review of Owlboy. And yeah, it's just an awesome game. Absolutely awesome game. So that's why I have, and just like a little bit of my history with Owlboy. Cave Story Plus. This was during the Nicalis kick. I picked up the physical because I was feeling like, yeah, I want to be exploring some caves. Like, why not? And seeing what the story is like. First playthrough was kind of underwhelming and super quick. The second playthrough, which was the Let's Play that I just did a couple weeks ago, I really enjoyed it that much more, and I have even more of a drive for playing it a third time, and just unlocking and doing more of like the alternate ending stuff that I haven't done yet. So yeah, that's that. Octopath Traveler, when we first got the absolute first mention on like the news feed on the like the Nintendo Switch, that's where I would have seen it. I was totally stoked, and it might have even been actually like when the demo came on the eShop, and I was like, oh, what is this? But however I found out about it, I was stoked from the start, because it reminded me kind of like Lunar 1, like Lunar Silver Star Story Complete for PlayStation, and Lunar 2 Eternal Blue for PlayStation. It just kind of captivated me in the same way that those games did, like an RPG, where you like are just going through this grand adventure. Now the cool thing about Octopath obviously is the 8 different character arcs that you can have going on, and so yeah, I was set. I was sold on this game, and so when the physical came out, not super long ago, a month or two or whatever it was, I picked it up, and yeah, I've only played about 20 hours. I haven't played as much as I would love to, but there's just something about the grind of this game that I more or less just want to wait until I'm in the mood. So that's Octopath Traveler. Really, really, really cool though. I'm loving it so far, what I have done, and really gorgeous game. Dust, an Alaskan Trail. I'm currently doing a Let's Play of this. I am not yet finished. I've got 7 parts recorded. 6 of those are up already. Yeah, this one was also from Card Dreamer. He wanted me to play it while, like, so here's the thing. I have my collector's edition from Limited Run Games in the works. I'm not sure if it's even ready or shipping out. I don't recall what stage that stuff is at, but he wanted me to just be playing this while I wait for that version to show up. And man, I was totally on board. So once again, Card Dreamer, thank you so much. I'm really enjoying this, even though I definitely have some like major reservations about some of the stuff in this game. But either way, I am really, really enjoying Dust in ways, and I really appreciate that. Yeah, you got this for me in the same way that you got this guy here. So yeah, that's really cool. Super appreciate it. So thank you very much. Dead Cells, oh my god, again, months and months and months ago. I think even before the trip, I saw screenshots and did a bit of research about what the game was, and right from then, I knew this was going to be one of the best, one of my top favorite rogue-inspired, like, games where you go in, you get souped up, and you either survive or you don't. Now, I wasn't playing this as long as everyone else, because like probably everyone jumped on the digital release day one when it came out, and then of course there was the physical release not too long after that. But I was still waiting, because I was like, I'm not gonna get this because I've got the signature edition coming from Signature Edition Games. I'm waiting for that because like it's not going to be too long from now. So anyway, I haven't actually been playing the game for a super crazy amount, like just maybe a little over a month, like maybe a month and a half, something like that. Anyway, like this game, oh my god. I've already pumped 100 hours into it, and that is not a lot of time for a game like this. Some people are at like 300 or like whatever the case. So like 100 is not a lot of time, but for all of the things that I've been doing in life and on the channel as well, like other Let's Plays and stuff like that, 100 is actually a considerable amount. Slurring my words here. It's a considerable amount considering how the short period of time that I have had the game. And like I said, with everything else on the go, 100 hours is quite a bit to rack up. So yeah, like honestly, you're this green like goo, and you kind of reanimate this corpse, this headless corpse. And yeah, you just go through dungeon levels, killing enemies, getting souped up by like collecting scrolls that power your stats, and just awesome weapons, and just going up against these epic bosses. And then the final boss is like, oh man, everything comes down to this. Like, are you going to survive or are you not? Like, it's so good. And I know like Card Dreamer, you would agree with me. Like it is just so kick ass. And like I know GT, he has been playing a ton too. Like him and I, we just play the shit out of this game. And he loves it as well. Like so many people know what I'm talking about. I don't even need to babble on any more than I have. Dead Cells, holy smokes, you guys. And then that brings us to last but certainly not least, Sterden Binary Stars. Oh my god. Honestly, in my opinion, this is up there with Dead Cells. Like I'm not playing a ton these days, but when it first came out, actually no, not when it first came out. When I got back from the trip, I saw it and was like, oh my god, like I'm totally. Actually, what happened was I put this on my wish list before going on the 2-month trip to Nepal, where I wasn't going to be playing anything. So I forgot about this game. When I got back, I rediscovered it and was like, oh yeah, holy smokes, I was so pumped to get this game. Because, or maybe it wasn't on the wish list, but it was going to be released. Okay, yeah, this is what happened. The game was coming out like 11 days after we left. So I wouldn't be in a situation where I was even able to purchase it or something like that, because I wasn't going to be, like, I was leaving my Switch at home for the 2 months that we were traveling. So anyway, yeah, like I saw it on the wish list or whatever and was like, oh yeah, this game, holy smokes, I'm so down. So I bought the game and oh my god, it is just so good. Like it's a shmup, and you just have, like, you unlock different ships as you progress, and there are just like crazy times where there's just shit all over the place, just enemies blowing stuff up and like shooting everywhere, and there's just craziness happening, and like it is just so good. Like I just pumped insane hours into this. Now obviously it's not even near, like, actually I'm not even sure. Let's just take a quick look. Oh, who's on right now? I knew it. GT 120 hours. Yeah, so like I've only played 50 hours, but like that 50 hours was literally within the first, okay, I think within the first 2 weeks it was something like 40 hours. So of course it's nowhere near, like it's currently at 50 hours. It's nowhere near what Dead Cells is, but for like the 2 or 3 week span that I was playing it religiously, that to me is like a pretty significant chunk. And again, there were other things that I was doing at the time on the channel, like in terms of Let's Plays. So like it may not seem like a lot for a 2 or 3 week span, but that's a considerable amount of time to be pumping into a game like this with everything else that was on the go. So anyway, that is the collection, you guys. One thing I did forget to mention, which I wanted to come back to, is Slime Sun. So I actually didn't mention what you do in Slime Sun. So the story goes, you're this little slime and you were swallowed by this giant worm or snake or something. I think it's a worm. But anyway, you're just in his, like, the furthest reaches, and Slime Sun is like, well, either I get shat out or I do something about this situation. And Slime Sun does something about the situation. He makes his way out. He works his way up through the levels with his little bird friend, and he makes his escape out of that mouth that swallowed him. He does not get shit out, that is for sure. So yeah, I want to actually specify, because for the most part, I think I went over, like, I think that was the only one where I didn't say like what you do. Maybe I didn't mention. Yeah, for the most part I mentioned stuff, but I may not have mentioned like the actual plot or the point. But like I'm sure you can grasp, like Slain, I don't think I mentioned that like you are awoken and you go into, yeah, all these levels, and you're like going up against this like final demon at the end, and whatever the case is. But for the most part, I'm sure you guys were able to grasp like what the game was just from what I did mention, for any of those that I kind of glossed over. But anyway, that is currently my collection, or at least everything that is currently here. I do have Oh, it's ridiculous. I've got like 14 physicals on the way from like just the companies that do limited edition like physicals. Um, so like this will of course be a video I do every once in a while, just to kind of like as an update, as a refresher, more or less. But this was the doozy because like this, I have never done one of these before, and so like we're going over the works, in a single episode. So like of course this is gonna like it's longer, but the future episodes will be shorter because I will just be focusing on like that next new clump and not dipping into this. And then eventually we might even do like I might do an episode where it's like, okay, out of the current whole batch, what are like my top faves or of this, or like my like most memorable or most impactful, whatever the case ends up being. But anyway, you guys, I have no idea how long we have been recording for. I'm stoked to stand up and go to the computer and find out because it's probably well over an hour. But who knows? Either way, I am so pumped that we did this all in one shot because that is just super cool. And yeah, that's a lot of chatting, a lot of coverage in terms of like ground we covered and just talking about games and why I have them. And so yeah, anyway, the point of this, yeah, like I'm not into AAA titles a lot of the time. Most of the time, in my opinion, they are not offering me what I want and what excites me. They just a lot of the time look like mediocre experiences at this point, whereas indies and all of that, oh man, they've got it nailed, and I love them, and that is what I'm talking about. That is what I play, and this is, yeah, most of my collection is indie titles, or yeah, like I said, it's rare that you're going to see AAA titles, but there of course are exceptions. So anyway, that's like why my collection looks like it is, and that's like how I kind of formed this collection, and like how I came to like what intrigued me about all these titles, and just like little bits and pieces. Everything I already babbled on about, that is just a little glimpse as to why this collection is the way it is. And anyway, yeah, so thank you guys so much for sticking around to hear all this talking. Holy smokes. And the fact that you weren't seeing gameplay footage, like I personally don't mind just being on like a menu like this. To me, that's just as exciting as seeing gameplay, because like to me it's about the conversation, or like not conversation, but it's about the vocalization, the talking. I mean, if we have conversation after the fact, that's sweet too. If you guys want to leave your comments below, that would be sweet. Or if this has inspired some of you to do your own video where you go over your collection and share, then honestly do that. I would love to see that. I would love that kind of thing. The thing that like I think a lot of people, they want to be seeing gameplay footage, but I'm not like that. Like if you do an hour or a 2-hour video just talking on a menu screen, like I will be so into that, because like you're actually taking the time to engage without relying on gameplay footage to attract people. Like as great as that is, like it's not everything, and there is just as much, like to me it's just as important to just connect with people and just not always have games on the go. So anyway, that's just a little look at this whole thing. And yeah, you guys have an awesome day. Be sure to like, subscribe. Definitely, like I said, share your comments below. Oh man, I am gonna I might do up some food and have a coffee or something. Get at some other stuff for the other channel soon enough this afternoon. We'll see. I have no idea what time it even is. Anyway, I'm out. Thank you guys again. Have an awesome day, and we will see you next time.